I now call upon Chloe from Unity Secondary School to continue the proposition's case.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As a Ministry of Manpower, let me re-emphasize once more that the financial incentives are not ineffective, but rather stagnant. That is why we need to have more financial incentives to bring out the best of the money used. Going on to my point, I will be further addressing the financial and manpower benefits to encourage marriage and parenthood. My finance minister has already talked about the financial benefits, and now I shall elaborate on the manpower benefits, which will not only significantly lessen the burden of couples who want to get married and eventually start a family, but also create more job opportunities. To begin with, there seems to be social stigma in leaving the office on time, much less taking time off for family. A poll done by SPH Singapore Press Holding states that 58% of the women were very afraid of losing their jobs or their current position if they took longer leave to care for their children. Women generally wanted career... No, thank you. As I was saying, women generally wanted a career and children at the same time, but it was a challenge to manage to balance them both. Thus, one excellent parenthood approach I would introduce today is that the government can provide childcare center in the work environment itself. Professional nannies will take care of the children, for example, age 1 to 4 years old. And the working mothers can put their mind at ease and produce outstanding and innovative work. Also, during their break time, they could check on their children, which gives them a sense of security. As my finance minister has talked about our next SMU, it creates more job opportunities for professionals, teachers of various professions to teach in respective universities. The diverse courses that are offered in SMU would include classes from poetry to child psychology. The government would ensure that this program is run effectively and efficiently professionally. These are approaches that will help mothers who might want to further their studies, who are already in a working society, to juggle their work, education, and children more effortlessly. Also, through the cheap and chic wedding approach the finance minister has touched on, it creates opportunity for ITE and poly students to gain experience by having attachments in specific hotels and community centers. They will be able to apply their skills to organizing the wedding and serving the guests. In this way, as mentioned earlier, couples need not fear the recent recessions as what the opposition has said, but they can continue with their lives. Yes?
The problem of this, madam, is that you're not targeting the lower income and middle income families because all you're doing is subsidizing them. What if they cannot even afford the basic cost?
Actually, we are subsidizing the lower income and the middle income because we know that people want to carry on with their life. People want to get married, have children. That is why we need to... the lower income family and the middle income family will be our first priority. No, ma'am. So going on to my point, as mentioned earlier, the couples need not fear of the recent recessions, but they can continue with their lives, be more ready and prepared to bring their life forward to a whole new level, which is marriage and subsequently parenthood. Furthermore, it serves as a platform for many aspiring wedding organizations to show their talents using relevant resources from the funding of government has initiated. This is why there is more job opportunities. Couples who want to get married but postpone their marriage due to financial difficulties, especially in the recessions, and usually couples postpone their marriages because they cannot afford to buy a flat. Now they can apply for financial help in such a way that when they get married, part of the flat loan will be subsidized by the government when, for example, rebate of $8,000 with one condition.
Point, madam.
No, thank you. With one condition that they must have at least one child and one child within 3 years and stay put to the flat. On top of all these, the government has planned to pump a total of 1,000 social workers by the end of this year, which will then again create more job opportunities, especially in this financial crisis. the social workers, whom will act as roles of fairy godmothers, confidants, family friend, by guiding couples through their marriage, introducing them approaches to make their wedding affordable through cheap and chic wedding scheme, and settle down in their own flat with subsidy. The social worker will be a friend, a trusted caretaker of the family, with an objective view to make sure that they have successfully and smoothly settled down and started a new family. This will yet again, ladies and gentlemen, create more job opportunities and even new poly or ITE courses, as special skills are needed to attend to these couples. We will breed a generation full of young minds that will understand the vitality of parenthood and marriage. I hope to have garnered your understanding. To all the future moms and dads of Singapore, Mom is here with you all the way. Thank you.
I now call Nicolette Tan of Nanyang Girls High to advance her team's case.
We as employers are human too. We completely agree with the government that the aging population is a problem. However, we don't see how all the policies that they have imposed actually are going to help the situation. As we have seen that the birth rates have actually been stagnant. And you completely haven't dealt with my first speaker's point, that the opportunity cost. And we question, where is all the money going to come from? Is it going to come from our taxpayers? If so, can our taxpayers afford it in this economic recession? Now let me move on to my two main points of contention. First, on your policy. Secondly, on creating more manpower opportunities. Now on your policy, I would like to talk about feasibility first. Now feasibility, as I have mentioned, there's a whole point about opportunity cost here. With all your Singapore Mothers Union, University, and all your other childcare facilities that you want to impose, can our government afford it in this economic recession? We ask you, if you want to implement this policy, please give us a place that this money is going to come from, and whether you're going to compromise on the economic stability of our people in this process. Also, the idea of subsidies. No, thank you, ma'am. If you're going to subsidize the people for all these things, and your target is the poor and middle-income families, we question, how are these poor and middle-income families going to pay for the rest? We've already given you the example of the artificial reproduction technique, where the one cycle is actually $7,000. This means that the person from the poor and middle income family, no thank you ma'am, is actually to pay this $3,000. Mind you, ART cycles don't always work. So these people might have to go for cycle after cycle, and we question whether these people have the money to pay for this. And we question also on your education infrastructure. Where are you going to build this infrastructure, and where is the money going to come from? Now, on the idea of effectiveness, now you tell us, yes, the birth rate is not decreasing, but in fact stagnating. We tell you, for the $1.6 billion that the government has intended to put in the 2008 baby bonus enhancement package, how are you going to justify this stagnant birth rate? Are you going to leave people more financially secure in this economic recession, or are you going to let most of this $1.6 billion remain stagnant? And also on the idea of sustainability, we tell you the government budget is indeed finite, and families not just think about the short term, how to raise a child, whether it's on diapers, on milk powder, and things like that. How are you going to ensure that the family is able to raise the child and give the child a good quality lifestyle? You obviously haven't come up to us about that, and we tell you that most of our Singaporean population will actually think about how we can sustain the child's quality of life. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, as I was saying earlier in this scheme, that there will be a social worker to help the parents through marriage all the way until parenthood. For example, the child is 3 years old. So the government could give them, there is this infant care subsidy. For example...
Thank you, madam. I understand that you want to give infant care subsidies. However, we tell you that poor and middle-income families might not be able to afford this childcare. And even if you think that these poor and middle-income families can afford childcare, what about primary school, secondary school, and so on? A child is not just going to live up till it's 6 years old. So let me move on to the idea of creating more manpower opportunities. If you want to protect the job security of pregnant women, then please come up. Then all the government needs to do is to provide legislation. There's no reason why we need financial incentives for this. And about childcare centres, I'll be talking about this in my point, so I'll talk about that later. And about the whole idea of coming up with causes, we tell you that if you're going to subsidize these causes, about 35%, I quote you, then the 65% will be coming from the person himself. And if you're going to give financial rebates for having children, then we tell you that all the money you're going to give these people are going into the causes that they're actually going to take. So where is the money for milk powder? Where is the money for diapers? So let me move on into my substantive, that on hurting a healthy business environment. Now, companies have already committed themselves to the laws of the land. Companies in Singapore all agree with the baby bonus scheme that was implemented in year 2001, enhanced in year 2004. However, employers today believe that we cannot compromise economic efficiency any further. We tell you that in this economic slowdown of negative 2% to 1% economic growth next year, we tell you that if you want more of your female employees to go on maternity leave, is the work going to be done? Now they tell us that they're going to inform us 7 weeks in advance so we can find a replacement. But we tell you, how are you going to train this worker in 7 weeks to do the job of the previous worker? So let me move. And the other option is to make the present workers cover costs, cover the work for this absent person. And we tell you that this will create a negative working environment, and it's because it creates less time for these people to go home and date and procreate, or even spend time with their families. And we tell you that it's ironic when the government is trying to cultivate a work-life balance in this case. So we tell you that only when our government doesn't hinder company efficiency, companies are in a better position to build childcare centres like OCBC has done last year, 2 years ago, and only then can we bring economic and social benefits to our country and its people. Thank you.